started filming this video a week ago, and God struck me down with the plague. I'm very sick. I've been sick for a week. I'm fucking tired of it. Have you ever noticed how many Christian movies there are? When I made my video about Roseanne Barr's comedy special, I scrolled through some movies on Fox Nation to get an idea of what kind of programming they have on there. I've never understood why people want Christian-specific film. Most movies don't contradict or even mention religion at all. You can just watch Star Wars, pretend like the Force is Jesus, what else do you need? But I guess that's the problem, right? It's not mentioning Jesus enough. So if you want movies like God's Not Dead or Heaven Sent, you know, kind of a phone theme there, I guess PureFlix is making movies for you. What if in The Shawshank Redemption, instead of digging his way out of prison, Andy Dufresne just prayed every night? Wouldn't that be a more interesting movie? The movie we're talking about today is called To Save a Life. It's from 2009, and it's technically not a PureFlix movie, but it might as well be. In the same vein as movies like Nothing is Impossible, it does combine two of Christian film's greatest themes: romance and basketball. Christian movies must just be for people who want to go to heaven. Not me though. I get to go to hell, but at least I can watch John Wick 2 while I'm there. There are literally thousands of Christian movies to the point where they're more likely a tax write-off than anything else. I mean, there are 2 God's Not Dead spin-off films. You can't tell me there's no money laundering happening there. There's also The Case for God, which on the cover there's a guy holding a newspaper that says, "Is God dead?" So they don't really experiment in their themes very much. To Save a Life is barely a movie. It's more of a series of conversations delivered in shot reverse shot vaguely about Jesus. That was a bigger hit of spaghetti sauce than I wanted to drink. I feel like my maximum HP is now lower. The show must go on. Let's continue. This movie has the same problem that a lot of Christian movies have, where it's shot in a really high resolution, but the directors don't really know how to use a camera too good, so everything just kind of looks off. There's no point in having your movie shot in 4K if all it does is show how blue the main character's eyes are. That's scary. The movie opens on a funeral scene where Jake, the main character, is reminiscing about his friend Roger, who is the funerallee, the person whose funeral he is attending. But he was apparently Jake's best friend when they were kids, and he even saved him from getting hit by a car. But unfortunately, he hurt his knee in the process. He injured his little knee. They don't really explain how, though. The shot is just of a car and then the kid holding his knee. So you know that's the part that hurts. And then it cuts back to Jake looking really sad or disgusted or whatever this actor is trying to portray. And then it goes back to another flashback. This is like how the first 10 minutes of the movie is. It's just flashbacks of Jake thinking about his friend Roger. His name is Roger. So in the next flashback, Jake, who is definitely not a 27-year-old man playing a high schooler, is in a high school basketball game. He appears to be some kind of basketball hero. But after the game, Roger, who's skulking in the shadows, is left out from going to a party with all the cool kids that Jake is invited to.
Things are gonna be different now.
Then he limps away. He limps so you know that it's the same character. See, it's because he hurt his knee earlier in the movie. Now he walks with a limp. A lot of amateurish movies like this tend to leave in a little more footage than is necessary for a scene. They show Roger walking the entire distance of the hall. I don't know why he does this, but then at the end he like bonks the concrete with his elbow. Why does he do that? Then it cuts back to Jake at the funeral and he's still really sad. And then it cuts to yet another flashback, but this time it's a week before the funeral. So it's a flash forward from the previous scene, but a flashback from the first scene. Also, the way this scene starts is fucking hilarious.
With me, rock with me when you hear the bass drop.
It's 1 week before the funeral and the vibes are fucking lit. This is also the moment that Steven Crowder is introduced into the movie. I forgot to mention that Steven Crowder's in this movie. Did you guys know that? This is also exactly how he's introduced.
What you want, I don't even care what you
So that's just awesome. He also has this nice little moment where he high-fives Jake, but they hold hands for a little bit after, and I just think that's great for them. Steven Crowder's character has like nothing to do in this movie, and you could literally cut all the scenes of him out and it wouldn't change anything. He has just a completely filler conversation with this character that I don't even think has a name, and then everyone in the scene just walks off together. Like, bring, time for break, everybody. Lunchtime, come get a Lunchable. I have the pizza ones that even has a little dessert pizza with it too. You guys remember the dessert pizza on the Lunchable? Jake assembles a little picnic for his girlfriend Amy, but on the way there he drives past Roger, and you can tell it's Roger because he's limping. Listen guys, it's gonna make more sense as the video goes on, but I swear to God, the only traits this character has is the fact that he limps and he's dead. Like, there's nothing else to Roger. So Jake has his picnic with Amy, and I hate to point this out, but there are so many dirty, nasty foot shots in this scene. It's awful. Both characters' feet in this scene are more in focus than their faces. But if you really want to avoid looking at the feet, of course, you can always look away at the rearview mirror of the truck that they're in, where you can see one of the production crew bobbing his head up and down trying to stay out of the shot. It happens the whole scene. A lot going on here. You might be wondering what the characters are talking about so far in the movie.
Amy Briggs, you are incredible. I love you.
Yeah, not very good. Then it completely abruptly cuts to Jake playing basketball. Yes, this is how the movie is paced. Keep up. Whoa! There's really just a lot of filler in this movie. So in the next scene, Roger ends up taking his own life in school. I'd show you, but it's not exactly tasteful. So to spare you, I'm just gonna show you Jake's reaction to that information and move on. 2 weeks later, Jake is back in school, and it starts to become very clear that this movie and these characters are not exactly focused on Roger, but rather the white guy that was affected by Roger's death. Kind of a weird message. Steven Crowder is pissed off because the time that they took off school cost them 3 basketball games.
Why are we still talking about this kid? Okay, that little freak made us forfeit 3 games.
Shut up, man. It was intense.
And then they high-five. This movie is awesome. Jake shows everyone why they call him a basketball hero, and he meets a youth pastor named Chris afterward. Chris gives Jake his card and tells him to call him if he needs anything, and you might think, in most movies, that that would come in handy later on, and it will. Right now. Jake goes to a house party with all his friends and is left stranded without his car at the end of the night. That is until he finds Chris's card and gives him a call. And then Chris has this really creepy reaction to Jake giving him a call.
Hello? Yeah. Uh-huh. All right, yeah, I'll be right there.
Jake and Chris bond over the fact that they both had chances to help Roger before he died. But then the scene turns into a flashback where Roger doesn't even say anything.
Hey, I'm Chris. How you doing?
Roger.
Good to have you here. So what school do you go to?
White.
Hey, 1 second. Be right back.
I gotta take some.
This character hasn't really talked. He has like 2 lines in the whole movie. The next morning, Jake is trying to talk to his dad, but he's just oh so busy. Look at me, I'm holding the newspaper when I'm walking into the room, even I'm so busy. Jake gets frustrated at his parents and storms off to church.
Where are you going? Go to church.
He attends Chris's sermon called Sold Out, where he says this.
So I'm gonna wrap this up. I know you're dying, but I gotta ask you something first. What would you do for $20? Would you French kiss a dog? How about this? Would you take your mom to the prom? You know, we do all kinds of crazy things for 20 bucks, but what would you do for a penny? See, the crazy thing is we treat people the very same way.
Amen. Chris gives Jake a ride home afterwards where he asks this.
I mean, if Roger could just kill himself like that, what does that say about life?
He immediately after, in the next scene, again, keep up, plays beer pong with a 35-year-old man. And then they show every single shot that Jake makes into the other cups. They show every one. They leave too much in. Just before winning the game of beer pong, Jake gets upset about his lifestyle of gay marriage and premarital sex. And he storms off while Amy goes to confront him, because the movie hasn't had a one-on-one dialogue scene in just a little too long. Nothing really interesting happens in this conversation besides Amy calling Roger the kid who killed himself.
Is this still about that friend of yours that killed himself?
Then Jake is back on his computer going to Roger's Our Space page to read some of his blog posts about how depressed he was, as well as write down a few of his mutual friends' names, like Johnny Boy. There are a handful of scenes of this movie of Jake on his laptop, and they're always so out of place. If the movie doesn't know how to move on to another topic, Jake just goes on his laptop. So Jake brings Amy to youth group where they're drinking Coke out of other kids' socks. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. This movie is falling apart. No more feet stuff, please. Amy ends up wanting to leave because what's happening right now is weird and creepy, and Jake ends up staying, but Jake sees one of the youth group kids passing some weed around and is just about had it.
Did any of you hear what he just said? My girlfriend came here today, and she left because she felt judged. And no one even noticed.
The next day at school, Jake sees a whole group of youth group kids gathering for lunch. It seems they've really listened to Prophet Jake's word, whatever he said. Then they just show a montage of all of the kids interacting, but it's all in one day, even though it feels like it's multiple days.
We were made for something better. Something better.
And this is just the movie's excuse for not being able to write dialogue between more than two characters at a time. Anyway, so now there's this nice little happy group of Christian kids that all eat their lunch together. Jake sees one of Roger's Our Space friends, Johnny Boy, eating all alone and invites him to join the circle. But Steven Crowder comes along to bully Jake and all of his friends for eating lunch together and being losers and believing in God.
Ever since you've gotten religious, you don't have any time for your friends, man. You think so? Mr. Hyde rearing his ugly bisexual head. That was a short phase.
Anyway, they're eating lunch again, and during this lunch montage, the security guard brings 2 sandwiches to this group of like 15 kids. This might seem like a really minor thing to focus on, but it's crazy. He brings 2 sandwiches to the group. There's like 20 people here. And then he switches the sandwiches like he got them confused. Are those his kids? Are they gonna chop up the sandwiches into little tiny pieces and give them to everybody? Is that really 1 sandwich per person? Because those are kind of big sandwiches. And just the sandwich, no drink, no chip. This movie is not good. At the end of this montage, Jake gets baptized in the ocean, even though he's only been to youth group twice and hated it the second time. Then he comes home, I guess after the baptism, they don't really say, and he finds his parents fighting. He storms out to go play some angry basketball until he comes across Roger's mom.
Hi, Mrs. Dawson.
Jacob, you don't have to do that.
I don't mind.
We haven't seen this character in over an hour since the funeral, and this is how they reintroduce her.
Hi, Mrs. Dawson.
Jacob.
So then they have yet another reverse shot conversation about Roger, but not like about him or who he was as a person, just how sad it is for Jake that he's dead.
That was his badge of honor.
What did he do? What did he like to do? What were his traits? How are they going to make Roger's own mom also be like, yeah, man, it's really too bad for that kid who died?
And I was his mother. He was my son.
Thanks to this conversation, Jake is inspired to memorialize Roger's Our Space page. He deletes all of Roger's blog posts and all that boring stuff about his personality in order to put Ganoogle links. After this, Amy meets up with Jake to tell him that she's pregnant and it's his. She does not want to keep the baby because they're both supposed to go to college, but obviously because this is a Christian movie that is seen as a very unreasonable decision, so Amy storms off because Jake won't stop making the face that he's always making. So after this, Jake goes home and his parents are getting divorced, and then he goes to school, but he's not wearing a backpack. And Johnny Boy's trying to tell him about this B plot that I didn't include in the script because It's fucking boring, where he messed up this date with a girl, but I really wasn't paying attention because it was boring. But then Jake snaps and becomes a complete asshole for no reason.
Dude, I guess she doesn't like you. It wouldn't have worked anyways.
You suck as a friend, man.
Oh yeah, I suck. That's why I picked you up. That's why I'm always defending you. That's why I never told anyone about your little problem.
Don't say that to Johnny Boy. He didn't deserve that. Anyway, then he teleports to Chris's chambers or whatever. Jake is talking to Chris and Chris's wife, whose name they do not tell us. Chris's wife is trying to get Jake to convince Amy to keep the baby, even though Amy clearly doesn't want to, and gave very valid reasons for not doing it.
She wants to get rid of it.
She made up her mind?
I don't know.
She needs to know that she won't be alone. That you'll be there for her.
Have you prayed about this, Jake?
Just kind of weird. Jake goes home and is just oh so conflicted about what to choose, college or Amy. Not that it's really his choice at all, but the movie is making it feel like that. Jake is at his lowest point and turns to godly prayer for the first time. Even though he was baptized early in the movie. Guess he's just never prayed before. He wakes up the next day and apparently Jesus gave him psychic powers because he knows exactly where Amy is and stops her from getting an abortion just in time. As soon as she were to walk through those doors, it would have been over. Even though this is kind of the climax of the movie, the first thing Jake says to Amy when he catches up to her is,
Amy, what's wrong?
Yo, what's up? You going to the abortion store? Jake convinces Amy not to get an abortion somehow, and they get bullied for it in school.
Is it true?
This is the point where the movie begins to drag on. The whole thing kind of tailspins from here. Everyone hates that Amy is pregnant, but they're committing to it because what Jake wants, Jake gets. This next part of the movie is fucking crazy. So since Jake blew up at Johnny Boy, he's been really quiet and isolating himself again. And then at one point he bumps into the stoner kid and one of them drops something that the stoner kid then picks up, but I don't know what it was because the movie doesn't show me. The school goes into lockdown because of a bomb threat, like immediately after, and the stoner kid blames it on Johnny Boy. The cops then raid Johnny Boy's locker, only to uncover hilarious drawings of him riding an oversized missile that's going towards a building marked high school.
10-4, I think we have our suspect.
So they arrest Johnny Boy, and as they're taking him away, Jake begins to have a flashback. I guess it's like, you know, the look in someone's eye when they're about to commit suicide. That's his Christian power from the Lord. He was baptized, and that's his mutant ability. So Jake and Amy come up with the weirdest distraction.
Ow.
Ladies, what's going on?
I'm really not feeling too well. My friend, she needs help. She's pregnant.
Jake? Jake!
It doesn't even work.
Let me go, Klein!
This is not cool, Jake!
Not cool, man. Don't pretend that a girl is pregnant and not doing well and then trying to run past me. Not cool. Jake manages to get in front of the cop car and stop it, but it's actually not a cop car. It's just a black Mustang with police lights on it. And then one of the cops gets out of the car and points the butt end of his flashlight at him. Why does he do that? They prove that Johnny Boy is innocent because the stoner kid has Johnny Boy's phone that the bomb threat was called in from, because I guess when they bumped into each other, he wanted to frame Johnny Boy for a bomb threat. Don't understand why he did this. But when the stoner kid gets caught, he says it was an accident?
Okay. It was an accident, okay? I panicked. Look, it wasn't my fault, okay? Somebody set me up.
How could this possibly be an accident? But I guess they put the stoner kid in prison forever or something, and then they basically free Johnny Boy. And then they find a lovely infertile couple for them to give Amy's baby to. Jake still gets to go to college. It just took him a semester extra.
Took an extra semester, but you made it.
Everything worked out just fine for him. Thank God they didn't abort the baby. Anyway, the movie's over now. So to save a life, more like to take a life. 2 out of 10. If you sneeze during this video, bless you. If you're thinking about watching this for fun and games, don't. Honestly, for a Christian movie, I would have expected them to talk about Jesus a lot more, actually. I feel like they really left out the J-Man here, and, you know, it's not a good Christian movie, and it's not a good movie. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please click like if you had a good time, or subscribe for more videos just like this every week. Make sure to check out my Twitch streams, and my second channel, and my Twitter, and my Instagram. Nothing else. Bye.